Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness unto light, lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. Good morning and namaste. Shivaratri, the annual night-long worship of Shiva, it's a few days hence actually. But we are doing an early observance. And I was thinking, what better way to worship Shiva than to, sing the glories of Shiva, in praise of Shiva. And what better way to praise Shiva than through the Shiva Mahimna Stotra, probably the most beloved, most well-known, and most magnificent hymn, Sanskrit hymn for Shiva. So I'm going to talk about that. It's something that's recited by millions of people, by Hindus in India and elsewhere every day. Monks who, as a rule, do not frequent temples and do ritualistic worship, but they worship Shiva. Shiva is the god for the monks. And so I remember this monastery I stayed in for a couple of nights in at the foothills of the Himalayas. Kailash Ashram. Kailash is the abode of Shiva, and the ashram is also called Kailash Ashram. There, it was all about studying non-dual Vedanta, but one thing was compulsory, that you have to go in the morning to the temple, and it's the temple of Shiva, Abhinava Chandreshwara. So you have to go to the temple and attend the morning meditation, and that culminates with a chanting of this hymn, the Shiva Mahimna Stotra, and so on. And this is something that is chanted by people in their homes, temples, the Shiva temples across India and also across the world now. So I'll talk about this. Of course, I cannot go through the entire hymn. There's so many verses, a few of them, the initial ones. It's also storytelling because it's full of the most charming stories. How do you deal with these stories? How do you, get maximum benefit from these stories? These are Puranic, the legends. Mythology. Now, but the moment you use the English word mythology, myth means something that's not real. But the religion scholar Reza Aslan said myths are always true because they are not about historical fact. They're about spiritual truths. So those are always true for all times, for all peoples. So Vivekananda, in one place, he talks about how do you deal with these stories. He says, don't scrutinize them for which one is true, because you will find the same story with multiple versions. And all of them are true, because they're meant to show us something, not to tell us about a particular historical event. Don't look at it, scrutinize it historically, don't scrutinize it scientifically, but he gives a beautiful analogy. It's like water washing over you. Let it wash over you. Listen to it, with reverentially. Let it wash over you and let the flood waters recede. It will leave behind, he says, it will leave behind in you a nugget of truth. It will leave behind some intuitive understanding which is difficult to put in language, but you will get it. So that's how you deal with these stories. But they're stories, very nice stories anyway. I sometimes think they would make a wonderful, science fiction series or something like that with Hollywood special effects. They would really. So it starts with a story, with one of those mischievous, talented celestial beings called gandharvas. The gandharvas are the celestial, the heavenly musicians, artists, dancers, poets. They're very talented people. I always say it's like the perpetual Juilliard school here. So they are the greatest of artists. After they die, they go to this world of the Gandharvas. Now they are often also a little mischievous. They're fun-loving people, very talented, but also a little mischievous. And one of these Gandharvas, his name was Pushpadanta, the author of this hymn. So this Gandharva, once he was merrily on his way, he was a great devotee of Shiva, the worshipper of Shiva. He was merrily on his way, and according to multiple versions, one version is he was on his way on his celestial chariot, so this chariot which flies through the sky. Another version was he was flying through the sky, so he had superpowers like Superman or something. And then he saw this amazing garden below him. And then he swooped down. This garden belonged to the king Chitraratha, who was also a devotee of Shiva. But he had this most wonderful garden. And Pushpadanta, who had superpowers of invisibility, so he becomes invisible and swoops in down on the garden, and he sees these beautiful flowers. And his first thought is, such wonderful flowers, they should be offered in the worship of Shiva. So he goes straight away and he picks those flowers, steals them basically, and then he flies away again. And he worships Shiva with those flowers. Now, all wonderful, devotional, but it's not moral. He's stealing things which do not belong to him. So this is something you see throughout the stories of the Gandharvas. They create trouble. Now, Chitraratha, the king, he saw the garden was barren. Where did the flowers go? And he asked the guards. The guards said, we didn't see anything. He changed the guards. And the next night, before sunrise, again, Pushpadanta swooped in and he saw the flowers which were blooming and he took them away again. And the guards couldn't catch him. When it happened 2, 3, 4 nights in a row, then the king thought, there's no mere human who's behind this. It must be a celestial being. Now, how do I trap this being? So what he did was, he took what is called nirmalya. Nirmalya means the bay leaves and the flowers which have been offered to Shiva. And so they become sacred after the offering. So he took them and he had them scattered around the garden. Just like ordinary leaves on the soil. So the next night when Pushpadanta swooped in to collect his booty of flowers, he accidentally trod upon the offerings which had been given to Shiva, the leaves which are on the ground. And immediately all his powers went away. He lost all his powers. And he became visible to the guards, who immediately rushed in and caught hold of him. He tried to become invisible, not working. He tried to fly away, not working. I mean, one version says the chariot became just an ordinary chariot. It couldn't fly anymore, couldn't become invisible. So he was... Again, one version of the story is at that moment he composed this hymn to praise Shiva and to repent for his misdeeds. Another version is that he was thrown into prison. Without all his powers, he lost his glory and thrown into prison. There, in repentance, in tears, he composed this hymn to Shiva. And Shiva appears before him and restores all his former glory and blesses him and releases him from prison. So that's the story of Pushpadanta and the composition of this beautiful hymn, Shiva Mahimna Stotra. So we are going to, there is also a slight addendum to the story. After being released, when Shiva appeared before him, and after being released from prison, Pushpadanta became slightly vain. He thought, look, I have composed the greatest hymn to Shiva. So this is my glory. And immediately, Nandi, the bull, Shiva's bull, who's there, always with Shiva, Nandi grinned at him. And on the gleaming teeth of the bull, he saw the entire hymn already written there, long before he composed it. So that smashed his ego. That it's not by his own powers that he was able to do this, but out of the grace of Shiva himself. So that's the story. I'll chant the verses and talk about it a little bit. So it starts like this. Mahimna param te parama vidusho yadya sadrishi stutir brahmadinam apitadavasannastva gira athavachya sarva swamati parinama vadhigrinan mamapyesha stotre haranirapavada parikara. What does this mean? He starts off by saying, if praising thee, O Lord Shiva, if praising thee by someone who is ignorant of thy greatness, it's unbecoming. In that case, even the praises of Brahma and all the other gods, they are inadequate because they also do not know your glory, the full extent of your glory. And if it is all right, not blameworthy, if someone praises thee according to their powers, whatever their capacity is, in that case it's all right. Then in that case, even this humble offering which I am composing, this is also without blemish. So it starts off on a very humble tone that even the gods, they cannot praise you. See, when you praise somebody or something, that depends upon knowledge. One must know what one is praising. But then that becomes a difficult condition, because when it comes to God, who knows God? Who knows the extent of the magnificence and the greatness of God? In that case, who is qualified to praise God? Swami Vivekananda, once he was asked, why don't you write a biography? You know Sri Ramakrishna better than anybody else. Why don't you write a biography of Sri Ramakrishna? And he replied in a Bengali phrase. He says, "Sheep goat teki banor godbo." When it was a practice to make clay images of Shiva and worship. So sometimes, if the person who's making the image is not a good craftsman, or maybe a child, so instead of looking like Shiva, it looks like a monkey. So the phrase goes, the Bengali saying goes that you start off trying to make an image of Shiva and end up with a monkey. So Vivekananda said that. When he was asked, why don't you write a biography of Sri Ramakrishna? He says, I'm going to start off writing, making an image of Shiva and end up with a monkey. That means I cannot. Whatever, even the best effort that I put forth is nowhere close to what Sri Ramakrishna was or is. Just by the way, this hymn is so popular. Vivekananda quoted from this hymn in the World Parliament of Religions, the first talk he gave on 11th September 1893 in Chicago. In that first talk, there was a verse which he quoted from this hymn, which we'll come to later on. So, one must know something about God. But then it becomes difficult. Because Brahman, the ultimate reality, the absolute existence, consciousness, bliss, is beyond all attributes, nirguna, beyond all attributes. So it's never an object of knowledge. Then how can you know Brahman? Or Brahman as God, as the creator, preserver, destroyer of this universe, is so full of infinite auspicious attributes. I'm translating from the commentator Ramanujacharya, who is a great devotee of God. And in his commentary on the Bhagavad Gita, the first sentence is 1 page, where he writes about the auspicious qualities of Vishnu. So there are so many auspicious, wonderful, infinite qualities of God. Who is capable of mentioning all of that? In either case, God beyond attributes, the absolute reality, or God with attributes, it's impossible for anyone to adequately praise God. So that's what he's saying, that avidusha, those who do not know, they will, if they try to describe you asadrishi, it will not be like you, what you truly are. It will not be an adequate description. And who can know you? Who can know you, O Shiva? So there's a story, yes, another story about this. Who can know Shiva? So when the universe was created, you know the story that Vishnu, the Lord of the universe, he is always a couch potato. He's lying on this cosmic serpent. And from his navel comes the lotus which blooms and on which Brahma, the creator, is sitting. So Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, the three deities. Vishnu is the preserver of this universe. Brahma is the creator. And Maheshwara or Shiva, is one of his aspects, is that he dissolves or destroys the universe at the end of one cycle. So in popular iconography, in Hindu iconography, you will see Vishnu reclining, and from the navel of Vishnu there is a lotus blooming, and on that Brahma is sitting, who will proceed to create the universe. So Brahma creates the universe, and then he happens to look down and sees Vishnu and says, "Who are you?" And Vishnu says, "I am your creator." Brahma said, "I created the universe. You are my creator? What do you mean you are my creator? You're nobody." And so they start quarreling about who is greater, Vishnu or Brahma. And the gods become scared of this quarrel between Vishnu and Brahma, so they appeal to Shiva, do settle this quarrel. And then Shiva appears before them in a pillar of radiance or light or fire, which stretches from one end of the universe to the other end. So this is a very popular story. So this is this tower of light stretching from one end, from the top to the bottom. Don't ask me how there is a top and a bottom to the universe. There just is. You have to take it for... Swami Vivekananda used to say this, so there's this pastor in a small town in somewhere in the United States. He's giving a sermon on the creation of the universe. So God created the universe and he set it out on the fence to dry. And then somebody asked, where did the fence come from? And the pastor was furious. He said, you keep quiet, you will destroy all theology. So let's just take it. There's a top of the universe and the bottom. And the pillar of fire extended all the way up and all the way down. And whoever sees the top and the bottom of this pillar of fire, pillar of radiance, they are greater. They are greater. It's either Vishnu or Brahma. Brahma says, okay, I accept the challenge. And he's Rajasic, he's the creator of the universe, dynamic. And his mount is the swan. He rides on the swan. So he goes on the swan and he says, I'll fly to the top of the universe and find out the upper limit of this pillar of fire. Vishnu is humble. He says, all right, I will dive down and get to the bottom of this. What is this pillar of fire and what is its extent? So he takes the form of the Varaha, the boar. The cosmic boar, the avatars are there. So he dives, he goes shooting downwards, and Brahma flies upwards, flapping up on his swan. He travels and travels and travels, and years pass. And neither comes to the end of this endless pillar of fire. Now, Brahma is tired and his swan probably can't take it anymore. And so Brahma thinks, what do I do? If I go back and supposing Vishnu has found the bottom of this thing and then he will lord it over me and he'll say, I am greater than you. So he decides to lie. And those who lie, they always get hold of witnesses. So he says, I'll have witnesses to back me up. And he gets hold of the sacred cow. And he tells the sacred cow that you tell Vishnu that you were at the top of this Jyotirlinga, the linga of fire, of light. And you were sprinkling it with your milk, because you have to pour milk on the Shivalinga. And then he gets hold of the Ketaki flower. It's a beautiful flower, and tells the flower, you gave false witness, that you were on top of the Jyotirlinga. Because you put flowers on the Shivalinga, flowers, leaves, milk and water. So both of them said, all right, you are the boss, Brahma, So they come back, and Vishnu comes back, and Brahma says, well, did you find the bottom? Did you get to the bottom of this? And Vishnu says, I'm sorry, but I didn't. I couldn't find it. It's bottomless. All these years of traveling, and I couldn't get to the bottom of it. But Brahma says, I got to the top of it, and here are my witnesses. So if somebody's making a big claim and immediately produces witnesses, there's something fishy there. Here are the witnesses. And the cow said, yes, I was at the top of the Jyotirlinga. And then the flower also said, yes, I was put on the top of this pillar of fire. And then Shiva, his booming voice comes and says, oh Brahma, shame on you. You are charged with the creation of the worlds, and you tell these lies. So from now on, Vishnu will be worshipped as I am worshipped. But nowhere in all the lands will you be worshipped. There's only one temple of Brahma. I think Pushkar is from there. Otherwise, nobody worships Brahma. And then he told the sacred cow that fie on you for lying. And so from now on, you will lick dirt with your tongue. So... and the flower, Ketaki, and fie on you for lying. You will never be used for worship. And in fact, that's true. The Ketaki flower is not supposed to be used for worship of Shiva or for worship of the gods. I checked. I asked ChatGPT. Is the Ketaki flower used for worship? And the first thing it said, don't use it for worship. Stop. Not in those words. And then told this story with a twist, a different version of this story. different version of the story, but anyway. So even ChatGPT agrees, you should not use the Ketaki flower for worship. In fact, this story about being unable, even Brahma and Vishnu being unable to find the limits of Shiva, Pushpadanta mentions it in this hymn. He says, this is the 10th verse in this hymn. I'm just skipping ahead to chant that. Tavaishwaryang yatnat yadupari virinchir hariradha parichetum yatav analamanala skandhava pusha tato bhakti shraddha bharaguru grinadbhyam girishayat swayam tasthetabhyam tava kimanuvrittirna phalati. O Girisha, O Shiva, Brahma, who tried going high up, and Vishnu, who tried going down below, failed to measure thee. You had taken the form of a pillar of fire, of an infinite pillar of fire. Afterwards, when they praise thee with great devotion and faith, you reveal yourself to them of thy own accord, showing that your worship never goes without result. So this is how he has put it. Anyway, the point being, he says, even Brahma and others, even their praise is not adequate because they cannot measure your limits. So this is the story is meant to show that. Another beautiful verse here, which says that if your qualities, your auspicious qualities are without end, and if the goddess of learning, Saraswati, were to write about your qualities, and if the whole world where it's the scroll on which the goddess of learning writes, and if the blue mountain were powdered into ink, and the ocean were the ink pot, and the branch of the heavenly tree, Surataru, the tree in the heavens, the branch where her pen, the quill, even then she would not come to it would not be adequate to write all of your qualities. A very beautiful verse. Swami Vivekananda has quoted it once, more than once. Swami Turiyananda, you find he quotes this when he was asked to talk about Sri Ramakrishna. He says, he quotes this verse. It's a famous verse. I'll jump ahead and just chant it because we're not going to get, this is almost towards the end of the hymn, the 32nd verse, where he has almost finished the hymn and then he says it's not adequate, it's nowhere near adequate. He says, Asita giri samam syat kajjalam sindhu patram surataruvara shakha lekhani patramurvi likhati yadi grihitva sarada sarvakalam tadapi tava gunanamisha param nayati. O Lord Shiva, if the blue mountain were powdered into ink, if the ocean were the ink pot, if the branch of the heavenly tree were the quill or the pen, and the earth the leaf on which it's written, and if the goddess of learning, Saraswati, here called Sarada, if she were the one who was writing for eternity, even then the limit of thy virtues would not be reached. So what to speak of my humble effort at praising you? It's full of wonderful hymns like that. I'm reminded of a story of the Buddha. One of his disciples bowed down to him and said, Master, you have surpassed all the great teachers, there is none equal to you. The Buddha immediately rebuked him. He said, why do you speak thus? Have you known and studied all the teachers of the past? The student said, no. Do you know all the great teachers who are there today? The monk said, no. And do you have any idea of all the great ones who will come in the in the future, in the unseen future? He said, no. Then why do you speak thus? Never speak thus. That's why Swami Vivekananda called Buddha the sanest man who ever lived. And he said, no cobwebs in that brain. So it's full of humility and devotion. In Hinduism, the ultimate reality, God, is understood in at least 4 different ways, primarily. One is, of course, the absolute, the transcendent absolute, nirguna Brahman, existence, consciousness, bliss, pure being, pure awareness, pure bliss, Brahman, nirguna Brahman. The other is the creator of this universe, God, or like Shiva, for example. So God is the creator of the universe, Saguna Brahman or Ishvara. The third one is not only creator of this universe, but immanent in this universe, everywhere. Swami Vivekananda said, we Hindus worship a transcendent, immanent God. Transcendent, beyond time, space, causation, beyond Maya, the absolute reality. Immanent in and through this universe. And the fourth one would be the avatara. So, Ishvara, Bhagavan, Saguna Brahman, God, the theistic God of religion, also comes as an incarnation. So, Hinduism is very big on incarnations. Mostly the incarnations of Vishnu, fewer incarnations of Shiva, but incarnation of God, basically incarnation of God, avatara. So, four aspects. One, the ultimate reality, existence, consciousness, bliss, which we talk about in Advaita Vedanta, which is where you can say, Aham Brahmasmi, I, the individual being, and the God of this universe are basically one limitless existence, consciousness, bliss. I am Brahman in that sense. Then the second one is Ishvara or Bhagavan, second. Third one is the immanent God in all beings in this universe. The whole universe is divinized by the presence of God. And the fourth one is the avatara. There is a very beautiful verse about Rama. Jo Ram Dasharat ka beta. So Ram Jagat Pashera. Soi Ram Ghat Ghat mein leta. So Ram Sabse Nyara. That Rama, who is the son of the king Dasharatha, is the avatara, is the incarnation, is worshipped as Ramachandra. That Rama is also the creator of this entire universe. Jagat Pashera is the creator of this entire universe. How? How can the one who is born as the son of a king be the creator of the universe, but not as the son of the king, in his real nature as Vishnu or as God, Saguna Brahman Ishvara? That Rama is also present in all his creations. In Ghat Ghat Mein Leta, in every object in this universe, the divinity is present. And finally, So Ram Sabse Nyara. And that Rama also is transcendent, beyond everything. Time, space, causation, as pure existence, pure being. So these different aspects are there. We will come across it in the next verse. The second verse by Pushpadanta. Atita panthanam tava cha mahima vang manasayo atadvyavrityayam chakitam abhidhatte shrutirapi sakasya stotavya katividha guna kasya vishaya pade tvarvachine patati namana kasya navacha. Another really beautiful verse. It says, Thy greatness is beyond the reach of mind and speech. Who can praise that which is even the Vedas describe with trepidation by the method of not this, neti, neti? How many qualities does that possess, and can be perceived by whom? Yet to that form taken later, whose mind and speech do not turn. So all these ideas of God are here. One is the ultimate reality, Brahman, described in the Upanishads only as that, tat. He says, Atita panthanam. It is not an object. He says, Vang manasaya, of speech and thought. That ultimate reality, it cannot be seen, heard, smelled, tasted, touched. It's not an object of the senses. But at least we can think about it. We can speak about it. No, it's not even an object of language. It's not even an object of thought. Said, Swami, you are talking about it. Something that cannot be talked over, you're talking a lot about it. The great philosopher Wittgenstein, he said, that which cannot be expressed in language must be passed over in silence. And he says that is the mystical. He talks about that. No, it cannot be expressed in language. Why not? Adi Shankaracharya, in his commentary on the Mandukya Upanishad, the 7th mantra of the Mandukya Upanishad, sort of the climax of the Mandukya Upanishad, there the word is used abhyapadeshyam, unnameable. It cannot be designated by words. And then Shankaracharya explains, why can it not be designated by words? Why cannot the ultimate reality, why can't you talk about it? Why would language fail? He says, in just one phrase, there's a lot of philosophy of language, what language can do and what language cannot do, all of that in one sentence. He says, Shabda pravritti nimitta rahitatvad. There are certain things which instigate the use of language, and those factors are absent in that ultimate reality. So what are the things which instigate the use of language? He gives, these, where can we use language? What can language do? You can use language if something belongs to a class, jati, a class, a species. So, example he gives, a cow. I mean, that's the typical example you'd get in India, so a cow. And the cow is a member of a set, of a class, of a species. So you can use that word. This is the definition of this set, and this is a member of that set. So you can use the word cow for that. But Brahman, the ultimate reality, is not a member of a set. There is not a whole set of Brahman, and out of that this is one. No. So it's not a class or set or a species. You can't use a set designator, set in the mathematical sense of a set. So it's not a member of a set. Second, he says that quality, guna. You can use language if something has some attribute. Here is a yellow flower, and there's a white flower, and there is a green flower. And immediately you know what I'm speaking about. As I point to it, you immediately note them. Why? How did this language work? Yellow flower. Because the flower is yellow, the color yellow is there, I was able to speak about it and you understood what I'm saying. So, flower, member of a species, a class. So you immediately understand. I'm not speaking about the altar, I'm not speaking about the vase, I'm speaking about the flower. And you know what a flower is because it's a part of a class of objects with which you are familiar. Immediately identify it. And when I say yellow flower, it works even better. You know specifically which flower I'm talking about here. So, quality. You can use language if there's a quality, if there's some attribute, characteristic. But Brahman, the ultimate reality, we say it's nirguna, beyond all attributes. Just now we heard, so Ram sabse nyara, different from everything else, quite apart, transcendent. No attribute can describe it. No attribute can limit it. Therefore, no quality, nirguna. What else can language do? Well, language can describe action, kriya. Shankaracharya says in that one sentence, he says it can describe action. So, would the person, the driver of the car parked outside the ashram, don't worry, there's nothing like that right now. Your car is getting towed, would you just go out there and take a look? No, there isn't right now. Now, how did it work? How did this language work? There is a driver, somebody who fulfills a particular function, an activity. And we understand what that activity is. So when I use the word driver of that car, you see, the word driver can designate an action, a person who's doing that action. Can we do that to Brahman? So Brahman is without action, nishkriya. So Swami, didn't you just say Brahman creates this universe? But remember, in Advaita Vedanta, Brahman actually does not create this universe. It's like in your dreams, you went to a place and you saw the sky and the earth and people and maybe a restaurant and you're having a cup of tea or coffee. And then afterwards, if I say you are the one who made that cup of tea and made that restaurant and all those people, and you say, no, I didn't make them. I dreamt it up. They appeared. But I never actually did any of that. Similarly, Brahman, from an Advaitic perspective, the universe actually doesn't exist. It's an appearance in Brahman. Or Brahman itself appears as this universe. So Brahman is not really the creator of this universe. You cannot ascribe any action to Brahman. It doesn't work. Is there any other thing that language can do? Language can express a relationship, guru, or a father or mother, some kind of relationship, human, non-human, whatever relationship. But relationship always requires two. In Sanskrit, it's sambandha, relation. The definition is dvinishta sambandha. A relationship exists in two terms at least. So there must be a second thing apart from that absolute reality for it to have a relationship with something. Even, see, God has a relationship. Creator created. But the absolute, by the very definition, the moment you say the second thing apart from the absolute, then the absolute, you don't understand the definition of the word absolute. There cannot be anything apart from the absolute. Then it is no longer the absolute. It's non-dual. Non-dual literally means no second. If there is no second, what relationship is possible? So relationship also won't work. Language cannot express Brahman because there's no relationship. But there's one last fling that language can take in an attempt to express Brahman. What is that last attempt? It's called designation. In Sanskrit, rudhi, conventional designation. It's a fancy word for saying naming. So when you name a baby, Mary or Sita or Ram or something, how does that work? It has no particular, it's not designating a class, a quality, or an action or relationship. It's just a name. From now on, this baby is called, say, Ram or something. How does it work? You have to point the baby out, point the person out. This person is named such and such thing. Then only the naming will work. If you just say, that person is Ram, you'll ask, which person? Who are you talking about? Point that person out. You say, I can't. Then the naming didn't work. So you can't say, for example, let's just call it Brahman, Atman, God. The question will be, which one? What are you talking about? I can't point it out. Then it didn't work. Then nobody understood what you talked about. So all of these, the 5 ways in which language functions, jati, class, or set or species, guna, quality, kriya, action, then there is sambandha, relationship, or conventional designation, naming, rudhi. None of them apply to the ultimate reality. And hence, he says, language doesn't work. All of that, he just said it in one word here. Atita panthanam tavacha mahima vang manasayo. Atita, it transcends language, the use of language. You cannot objectify it with thought. I'm thinking about Atman now. Well, whatever you're thinking about, it's not the Atman. It's not Brahman. Brahman is, however, there. It's because of that you're able to think. The Kena Upanishad says, Keneshitam patati preshitam mana, Kena prana prathama prayeti yukta, Keneshitam vachamimam vadanti, chakshu shrotram kaudeva yunakti. That's how the Kena Upanishad starts. And the first thing is a question. What an amazing question. It's literally cutting edge now. The question of consciousness. Because of what bright being, of what bright existence, Deva, the shining existence, are we having this experience of thinking, of speaking, of seeing, of hearing? All these first-person experiences we are having because of what one thing. See, he's not asking there about the vocal mechanism, how do you speak? Or he's not asking about the visual or auditory mechanism, how do the ears function, the eyes function? No. He's not asking a physiological question. He's not asking a linguistic question or biological question or medical question. No. Not even asking a question about brain science. He's asking a question about our first-person experience, what the neuroscientist Christoph Koch calls the feeling of life itself. This life which we have, the experience which we have, the feeling of life itself, of seeing, hearing, enjoying, suffering, thinking, understanding, remembering, forgetting, all of these experiences. Their experience itself is possible because of consciousness. This is the essence of consciousness. And that's why this is a whole hard problem of consciousness and all this is going on right now. It's cutting edge. We say Vedanta is ancient, often described, the ancient spiritual philosophical wisdom of India. But Professor Arindam Chakravarti said another meaning of Vedanta is the cutting edge of knowledge, not ancient. Anta means edge. Vedanta, Veda, Anta. So the original meaning is the final, last, highest teachings of the Vedas. That is Vedanta. Therefore it's Vedanta, end of the Vedas. But he says also the edge of the Vedas. The razor's edge is used in the Upanishads. Shurasya dhara. To describe, of course, there is to describe the delicate, difficult nature of this knowledge. But Arindam Chakravarti, the philosopher, he says that it also describes the very nature of this knowledge, that it is always the cutting edge of knowledge. Even today in the 21st century, and especially true today because we're talking about the hard problem of consciousness and all of that. Language cannot describe it. Mind cannot objectify it. And the Kena Upanishad says it's because of you, the consciousness, that the mind is able to, you get the experience of thinking, speaking, hearing, seeing. So what do the Upanishads do? How does it express Brahman? Because if language cannot express it, what are the Upanishads? What are the Vedas? They're language. And if they're trying to express the highest reality which cannot be expressed by language, what option do they have? So Pushpadanta here says, Atad vyavrityayam chakitam abhidhatte shrutirapi. Shruti, Upanishads, Vedas, Upanishads. They talk about the ultimate reality, Brahman, you. In which way? Neti, neti. Not this, not this. Not this, not this. And he says, chakitam, scared, nervously. Even the highest spiritual texts, they nervously refer to you, shakily refer to you as not this, not this. The only way, if you cannot directly refer to the ultimate reality, the way you can refer to the ultimate reality is by saying what it is not. I can't say what it is, but I can tell you what it is not. How does that work? Neti, neti. Not this. This what? Whatever you can designate by this. So, this thing which I see, not. What I hear, not. Smell, taste, touch, not that. What I can speak about, not that. Whatever I can think about, not that. If you deny all of that, neti, not it, not that, then what are you left with? The void, emptiness, so Brahman doesn't exist, not that. Neti, neti. The second neti refers to that. There's a beautiful story a monk told us that imagine there's this little kid who has never seen a cinema, a movie, a film. And his father takes him to see a movie in a cinema hall. So this example worked even when we were kids, but now it doesn't work at all. Because everywhere people have seen movies on their mobile devices or whatever it is. Anyhow, just imagine a kid who hasn't seen it is being taken by the father to the city to see a cinema, a film. So they enter the cinema hall, and the movie has started. Imagine the movie has started. See, that's the problem, right? We always, when we enter life, the movie has already started. None of us got in at the beginning of the movie. So we are thrown into the middle of the movie. So movie has started. And the kid is there and he's watching. So I always use the example of the Mahabharata or Ramayana, maybe because the first movie I ever saw was, I think it was not Mahabharata, it was Ramayana, where Rama and Ravana were fighting. And the special effects, kids would laugh at it today. But those were amazing for us when we were kids. So after some time, before entering the hall, the father had explained to the kid, you know what a movie is? There's a screen and there'll be light and pictures on that and there's sound and all of that. That's a movie. So after some time, the kid asks the father, Dad, where's the screen? And the father points, there. And the kid goes, imagine it's the battlefield of Kurukshetra and Arjuna and Krishna are standing. And so that guy with the bow and the arrow says, no, behind him. Or behind him, the chariot, that's the screen. No, behind the chariot. Behind the chariot, you mean the battlefield. That's the screen. No, behind that, the sky is the screen. No. Apart from all of that, neti, you see? Apart from all of that. By now, I think people around them must be shushing them. Shh. Apart from all of that, then the kid goes, oh, the screen is nothing then. If you take it all away, then there's no screen. Nothing, it's nothing. So no, it is all of that. So he says, oh, you mean the screen is the people with the bows and arrows and the chariots and the elephants and the horses and the battle? No. How will the father point out? Because whatever he points out to, there's a picture there. There's a name and a form, an appearance there. So it is true that Brahman is here in every being, but you can't point to it directly. You have to negate. So this is the word used, atadvyavritya, which means the method of neti, not this, not this. You have to deny that this is not Brahman. It's not that the ultimate reality is a table or a chair or a person or space or time. None of this. Then the immediate mistake will be, so that ultimate reality doesn't exist. And you have to say, not that either. Another way the Kena Upanishad does it is, it's different from whatever you know, whatever anybody knows. That ultimate reality is different from it. Oh, so it's unknown. No, it's different from that too. Anya deva tad vidita dato avidita dati. It is other than the known. Oh, so it's unknown. No, it's higher than the unknown, beyond the unknown. So what's the one thing which is not known and yet not unknown also? What's one thing? You know it, within quotes. Yes, you. Correct. One brave soul owned up. I am that. Yes. You are that. Think about it. Even without all fancy philosophy. What is it that we know about ourselves? Whatever we know about ourselves can be designated as this. This body. This mind. This life. This resume. This narrative. These memories. And if you deny that, then nothing. No, not even that. So that which is the real you, the consciousness, can never be designated as this. In fact, everything is designated as this to it. To it appears this entire universe designated as this. So he says, this is how the Upanishads, scared, nervously, refer to that ultimate reality. Or there is another way. Not the ultimate reality, but as the God of this universe. You are the creator, preserver, destroyer of this universe, full of endless qualities. Even then it's difficult to refer to you because your qualities are endless. As we just said, the goddess of learning also cannot exhaust your qualities by writing about them. Then, finally, the third form. See, what I'm talking about are the different ways in which God is understood. So next he says, Pade tu arvachine patati namana kasya navacha. The later forms that you assume for the sake of devotees, those attract our mind and speech. What is the later form? Which one? Incarnations. Also, Ishvara in the form in which Shiva, Vishnu, Devi, So there is a form in which you can visualize, and there is a story associated with all these stories. There is a name, Shiva, Maheshwara, Mahadeva. So he says, the form that you assume later, for the sake of the devotees. What is that form? On Mount Kailasha, you are sitting there dressed as a yogi with flowing matted locks and the moon on your forehead and the Ganga flowing down your locks of hair, and you're blue in hue, seated in meditation with a third eye, with a snake coiled around your neck, wearing a cloth of the tiger skin, things like that, all the descriptions of Shiva. He says, when you have this description, then all of our minds and speech are attracted. That which is beyond mind and speech, because it's not an object. That's the ultimate reality. Next, that which is so infinite in auspicious qualities, Ishvara, Bhagavan, the creator of this universe, the one God of all religions, and that is so infinite, no praise can ever exhaust that, can talk about it. But now you have a further step down. That God can assume multiple forms. This is where Hinduism comes to its fore. We are really great at that. Endless forms and names. So you just have to go to a Hindu temple and see. What are those forms and names? He talks about it. The Arvachina means later. They're very conscious that it's a later projection. It's not the ultimate reality. But it has this very great advantage. What is the advantage? First of all, it retains the divinity of that ultimate reality. Second, you can now talk about it, praise it, visualize it, worship it. All of the rituals, hymns like this, all of it now becomes effective. So that is the special technology in Hinduism, where the names and forms, divine names and forms are there. See, the names and forms in this universe, what happens? Like the names and forms on the movie screen, they prevent the child from seeing or understanding what the movie screen is, because the attention is always drawn to those names and forms. So similarly in samsara, there is only one Brahman everywhere. So Ram ghat ghat mein leta. The same Rama is everywhere in every object. However, we don't see it. Why don't we see it? Our attention is diverted and confused by the presence of the names and forms, the objects. But now, suppose you have a name and a form, object, and yet so it's divine, it's sattvic, it doesn't veil the divinity behind. So you can focus on a form, image of Rama, of Krishna, of Shiva, of Devi, of Vishnu, and that reveals the divinity behind it, Satchidananda. So that is the technology of, names, forms, image worship. So basically what he says is, those names and forms projected afterwards, whose mind does not go there, whose speech does not go there. So that's why I am also composing this hymn. He's still making a case for why he should compose the hymn. Then the next, we are only on the third mantra. All right, we'll just do that. Madhuspita vacha paramamritam nirmitavata tava brahman king vag api sura gurur vismaya padam mama twetam vanim gunakathana punyena bhavata punamityarthesmin Puramathana buddhir vyavasita. So he says, O Brahman, O Shiva, even the praise of Brahman, of Brahma, it falls short of thee, who is the author of the nectar-like Vedas. So here another thing, in Hinduism, God not only creates the universe, that's secondary. God's great glory is that God gives the Vedas. God is the source of the Vedas. The Vedas are even more important than the universe. Swami Vivekananda says, the Vedas are so holy to the Hindu that if he loses his cow, he goes to search for the cow in the Vedas. Because everything is in the Vedas, So, he actually says this in Complete Works in a talk here. He says, when the Hindu loses his cow, he goes to search for it in the Vedas, because everything is in the Vedas. So here, you see that. Pushpadanta praises, says, you are the creator. Not literally the creator, there are different theories on this. The Vedas are eternal, coexisting with Ishvara, and from cycle to cycle, when the universe is created, each time God gives out the Vedas. The Vedas are the storehouse of spiritual knowledge, which are you find in the 4 Vedas of the Hindu religion. But also Vivekananda says, wherever there is spirituality, in every religion, you will find these core spiritual truths which come from God. So those are the Vedas. You have given out these nectar-like Vedas. So even the greatest of praise is, small compared to what you have done. Then why am I praising you? He says, my speech, this hymn which I am composing, he hasn't started yet, he's just making a case for it, which I am composing it will purify my speech. I am the beneficiary by composing this. It's not that I have really glorified you by composing this hymn. So this is the humility. I've seen many great Advaitic texts. Sureshwaracharya, the most learned of Shankaracharya's disciples, when he writes his masterpiece, the Naishkarmya Siddhi, non-dual Vedanta, teaching what Shankaracharya has taught. And then he says at the beginning, why am I writing this? I can't hope to improve upon what Shankaracharya has done. But it's only to clarify my understanding. That's why I'm writing. So that's how the great masters used to give forth these great spiritual works, philosophical works, but with great humility. Punami ityarthesmin, I am purifying my speech. Puramathana. That's why I am composing this particular hymn. Puramathana is, do we have time for one? Yeah, we have time for one more story. It's a nice story, so I'll just tell that story. So here, Puramathana means the one who destroyed the 3 cities. There's a story of the Tripurasura, the demon who dwelt in the 3 cities. Actually, there were 3 demons, but I won't go into that. That's a long story again. So, At one time, this Tripurasura, these demons or three demons, they asked Brahma for a boon, and they said, "Let us be immortal." And Brahma said, "I can't give you that." Then they said, "All right, in that case, construct 3 invulnerable cities for us where we will stay. One on earth made of iron, one in the skies made of silver, and one in deep space made of gold." The 3 cities, and we will stay there, and nobody can destroy us. It's only when all the 3 cities are together, and that will happen once for an instant in thousands of years. At that moment, only it can be destroyed, and that too, if somebody can destroy all the cities with one arrow, then it can be destroyed, something like that, some very difficult conditions, which means basically we'll be immortal, nothing can be done to us. And Brahma said, "All right." You see this motive again and again in mythology, in Hindu mythology. So this is how the 3 cities came to being, and the demons lived there. One city on earth made of iron, one city in the skies made of silver, one city in space made of gold. Again, very symbolic. I'll tell you what it means actually. Now the demons became incorrigible, created havoc on the different worlds, and any time the gods or the humans tried to capture them, they would retreat into their invulnerable cities, and nobody could do anything to them. And they captured so many sentient beings and imprisoned them in these terrible cities. Finally, the gods prayed to Shiva, do something about these demons. So Shiva is a very dramatic description. In fact, Pushpadanta in this verse itself, he gives a description of how Shiva went and destroyed the cities. The gods gave all their weapons and equipment to Shiva, and Shiva goes up into the sky. And, there's this silver city. Does it remind you of a balloon floating in the sky somewhere? And he shoots one arrow at it, and the cities which had that moment, they had coincided. They came in one line. The three of them were shot down recently. I think the third one over Canada yesterday. So all the cities were destroyed in an instant. So Shiva is also given the name Puramatana or Tripurahara, the one who destroyed the 3 cities. I'll tell you the actual meaning, but there's a very beautiful verse here which describes, a dramatic verse, which describes, the 18th verse. Pushpadanta talks about this story. I'll chant it and then translate it for you. It's the destruction of the 3 cities. Ratha kshoni yanta shatadhriti ragendro dhanuratho rathange chandrarko rathacharana pani sharaiti didhakshoste koyam tripura trinamadambara vidhi vidheye kridantyo nakhalu paratantra prabhudhiya. When you wanted to burn the 3 cities, which were like a piece of straw to you. Your chariot, earth, the earth itself became your chariot. Brahma became your charioteer. The great mountain Meru was your bow. The sun and the moon were the wheels of your chariot. Wow, how dramatic! The sun and the moon were the wheels of your chariot. Your arrow was none other than Vishnu. Vishnu was the arrow. And yet, why all this paraphernalia? Why all this equipment? So equipped with the F-22s and the missiles. And it says, you, the Lord, you are not dependent on anything. You are playing with these things. It's your play, it's your leela. You could destroy the 3 cities if you wanted. They exist at your whim, and they're destroyed at your whim. But it's part of your divine play. All this drama of the planet Earth being your chariot, and the sun and the moon being the wheels of the chariot, and Brahma, driving this cosmic chariot, and the Meru being your bow, and the Vishnu being the arrow, and so on and so forth. And the 3 cities were pierced and destroyed, and all beings were liberated. That's the story. There is a Tamil version of the story, which I just read in English translation, which takes this a little further. It says, you do not depend upon any of these. Actually, do you know how the cities were destroyed? when in the middle of this tremendous tumult, of this cosmic battle going on, you smiled, you were amused, and the cities were reduced to ashes. You destroyed the 3 cities with a smile. It's actually a Tamil verse. What does this mean? Is there any deeper meaning? It's a nice story. I'm sure Hollywood can take it up as like a science fiction, like space battle or whatnot. But there's of course, a very deep meaning to it. The meaning is that the 3 bodies, the physical body and the subtle body and the causal body. The physical body is this. This is the iron city, the city on earth, where in the gross physical body. And the sentient being, we are trapped, imprisoned here. Our real nature is Shiva, but we are imprisoned here. We are stuck in this life. And there is an even worse city. The silver thing, not the balloon. The silver thing in the sky, the silver city, is a subtle body. Thoughts, feelings, emotions, ideas, our inner personality. Closer to us than our physical body also. It doesn't matter so much what the body is as what our inner personality is, our thoughts, feelings, our own little story. And we are trapped there also. We are trapped even more so by that. Even that's not you. That's also a prison. That's also a city in the sky. And there is a seed state in the darkness of outer space. There is a golden city, which is the seed, the causal state, which we experience in deep sleep. In waking, we are on this city on earth, the iron city. In dreams, we are in the city in the sky, the silver city. And in deep sleep, the darkness of outer space, it's the golden city. It's the seed of our entire limited personality. Shiva, who is the 4th, not the waker, not the dreamer, not the deep sleeper, the 4th, Turiya, the consciousness. From that perspective, he shoots the arrow of knowledge, which pierces all 3 cities and showing us, liberating the sentient being trapped in these cities, showing us your real nature is pure consciousness, Shiva. So this is the meaning. Amazing, these stories. This is what Vivekananda means when he says, let these stories sweep through you like water. And when the waters have receded, they'll leave a nugget of truth inside you, which is most valuable. I'll end with a verse, again from this hymn, which is the last verse chanted in all the worship of Shiva. When Shiva is worshipped, Shivaratri, in all Shiva worship, at the end this verse is chanted. Before that, what was the verse that Vivekananda chanted in the World Parliament Religions? Yes, I didn't get to it actually, but here is a very famous verse from this. You can see where Sri Ramakrishna, his Harmony of Religions, everything is coming from, is from the 7th verse here. One of the most famous verses. The verse goes, Trayi Sankhya Yoga Pashupati Matam Vaishnavamiti Prabhinne Prasthane Paramidamada Pathyamiti Cha Ruchi Nam Vaichitryat Rijukutila Nana Pathajusham Nrinameko Gamya Swamasi Payasamarnava Iva. There are all these different paths. There's the path of the Vedas, Trayi, Riksama Yajur, the Vedic path. There's the path of the Sankhya, which talks about consciousness and matter, Purusha Prakriti. There's the path of Yoga, the Patanjali Yoga, the path of Samadhi, Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. There is the Pashupata path, the path of worship of Shiva, where Shiva is the ultimate reality and we are all Pashu, that means animals. We are bound by Maya. Pasha means Maya, the rope. And the master of that rope is Shiva, Pashupati. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, Pash Baddhu Jeeb, Pash Mukta Sheeb. The same entity tied in the ropes is Pashu, the animal, Jiva. And tied and released from the bondage is Shiva. You are Shiva. In knowledge. In ignorance, tied in this samsara, you are Jiva. You can see the same story of the 3 cities and all. So Pashupati, he says, even this teaching, Vaishnavam, the Vaishnava doctrine of Vishnu is God, and all of Rama, Krishna, all of that comes from the Vaishnava teaching, Vaishnava flavor of Hinduism. Prabhinne prasthane, different paths. Paramidamadah patyam, and they quarrel among each other. Mine is better, patyam, this is better, come to this path, come here, come here. You can stand in the subway and hand out brochures. Come here, this is better. But Pushpadanta says, Ruchinam Vaichitryat, because of difference in our mental constitution and taste. If they're all true, why not just one? Because we are not one. We are various. We have various mental constitutions. Some are devotional by nature, some are philosophical by nature, some are meditative, some are action-oriented. Most of us are a mix of these things. We have multiple cultural backgrounds. So there is something or the other which will work for you. Once Swami Vivekananda, this is the key to Swami Vivekananda's apparent contradictoriness. Many people say, you contradict yourself. You say so many different things. Once, after one of his talks, somebody came to him and said, I really liked what you said. And Vivekananda said, it's for you. And somebody else nearby piped up and said, I didn't think it was all that great. And Vivekananda said, then it's not for you. This is this idea, Ruchinam Vaichitriyat. We are not all the same. We are trapped in different ways, and different techniques and different methods, different approaches will free us. Different stories will free us. Different stories suit us. The truth will point out the same truth within us. But since we are trapped in different ways, the methods of freeing us also must be a little different. So Ruchinam Vaichitriyat, because of difference in constitution and taste, ruchi, taste. Riju Kutila Nana Pathajusham. All these wonderful, beloved, most praised paths. Some are straight, some are long and winding. But what happens? Nrinam Eko Gamya. You are the one ultimate goal of all beings, of all sentient beings. You, that ultimate reality. And notice, he's being pretty non-sectarian here. He's worshipping Shiva, but he's already included the path of Shiva in one of the many paths. Just like, then he gives a beautiful example. Payasam Arnavaiva. Just as all the rivers flow into the ocean, similarly all these paths flow into thee. So these are different. Paths are different. They take different courses, they're different. Each of them has its... And he says, Pathajusham, they are all beloved, they are all noble, they are all wonderful paths. And they are all different from each other, they're all unique. And that's the economy of God, in which all these paths are there. These last two lines, as all rivers flow into the ocean, O Lord, all men worship you in different ways. This Vivekananda quoted in the World Parliament of Religions, in the first speech itself. So the final verse, I'll chant and end. This is how the puja of Shiva, the worship of Shiva ends. Where is this verse? Tava tattvam na janami kidrishosi maheshwara yadrishosi mahadeva tadrishaya namo namaha. At the very end of this hymn, Pushpadanta says, truly speaking, I do not know your reality. What you are and what you are like, I do not know. I do not understand. Who knows? Whatever you are like, O great God, Mahadeva, my salutations to you. So, Yadrishosi, as you are, whatever you are, you only know what you are, O Mahadeva. Tadrishaya namo namo. In that form, known only to you, in that reality, my salutations again and again to you. I pray to Lord Shiva, Mahadeva, the beloved of Pushpadanta, Sri Ramakrishna, Ma Sharada, Swami Vivekananda, to bless us all with devotion, knowledge, and enlightenment. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.